Jess, could you turn up your volume a little more? I have mine all the way up and I'm still having a hard time hearing you.
Are you? Okay, I'll just have to yell. My microphone is not working. The one I usually use. So can you hear me if I talk loud and I'm back here? Can you hear me? Okay. So the conference talk I reread this morning was President Nelson's talk in the women's session of conference. Embrace the future with faith. And, these first few chapters or sections of the Doctrine and Covenants that we've been studying have really been about personal revelation and acting in faith, especially when we don't know what's going to happen. And President Nelson gives us some counsel here. He says that there's 3 things that we need to do. We need to create places of security, prepare our minds to be faithful, and never stop that preparation. It's something that we continuously do. And I've been thinking about that place of security, right? Because the world is always changing and it does feel tumultuous. And our place of receptivity to the Spirit and the place that we have with us all the time is our bodies. I want you to think about what that means to create a place of security within your own body. He says a place of security is anywhere you can feel the presence of the Holy Ghost and be guided by Him. And if we can make our own bodies that place of security where our spirits feel safe, right, we can just move that place of security anywhere that we go. We can be that receptive strength that we need. But we have to be really careful about the way we use our minds in relation to our bodies. Right? A place of security would be a place free of judgment and criticism. Right? It would be more a place of reverence. And I think it's really easy for us to be critical and judgmental of our bodies, not to reverence them and take care of them because we love them, but maybe because we're trying to make them look a certain way. But they're a tool and an instrument that Heavenly Father has blessed us with. And we don't necessarily have to love how our bodies look in order to love and reverence our bodies. And so as we move today, I just want you to move with that sense of love. And even as we work hard and maybe do some things that bring some challenge, that right, you can find that centered place within your own body. So I'm going to finally take my socks off. I think I'm warm enough. And we'll just start seated, paying a little bit of attention to our feet. So take your right foot to the floor in front of you, and then you can kind of lean onto your left shin. So we're in this little bit of a combat stance. And lean some weight into your right thigh and ground through your right heel. You can get a stretch through your Achilles tendon there and your lower calf. And then you can back out of that and just lift your heel and engage everything there, and then lower down and lean. And just kind of play with the load on your ankle, your hip, and your knee. I've got some creaks and cracks in my foot. And then ground through your heel and play with your toes. So try grounding down through all of your little toes and just lift your big toe up. And then ground that big toe down and see if you can lift your little toes. It's kind of a brain exercise. And just go back and forth there. Ground through your little toes, lift your big, and then ground through your big, lift your littles. Do that a couple of times. And now you can use your hands if you want to, if you need to. Push down into that right heel and come all the way up to standing. I'm going to move my blanket out of my way that I was sitting on. And now we're just going to come back down into a seat and try not to use your hands. Just sit down, and then you can switch your feet and just come back up to standing. And we're just going to come up and down a few times. And you can change which leg you lead with. Use your hands as much as you need to come all the way down to the floor and all the way up. And then we'll come down and bring our left foot forward and find that little combat squat. So you can sit on your right heel, bring that left foot down and lean some weight into your left thigh and ground through your left heel. You can rock forward and back a little there. And then play with lifting that heel and lowering. And you can back out of how much weight you have on that thigh. Play with it in any way. And then find some stillness, ground through your big toe and see if you can lift all your little ones. And then switch. Ground through your little toes, lift your big toe. And go back and forth. And just kind of, is this foot easier than the other foot? Is it trickier? Back and forth there, just moving your toes, using your brain. And then we'll do that. Stand and come back down to sitting. And this time you can vary the way that you come down and up. So maybe you try to lengthen a leg out to the side as you come up. Or come down through a squat. Just play. Use your hands as much as you need to. And then we'll come up to standing and just make your way to the top of your space. Your mat if you have it. And sit down in a chair pose. So just sit your hips back and then reach your arms high. From here, push your thumbs back and draw your low ribs down and in. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, just let yourself fold and let your arms swing back. And you can go pretty fast here. I'm just going to inhale and then exhale. Inhale and exhale. Come all the way up to standing. Give your legs a little rest. And now sit down in your chair and reach your right arm forward, your left arm back, and then come back up and just switch. And just swing your arms and bend your knees. And you can play with, as your arms come forward, maybe make a big circle. So then left arm goes back, right arm goes forward. And just make big circles. And see if you can switch directions. It's kind of a brain exercise. And then pause. We're going to come from our chair pose all the way into a boat pose. So bring your hands to your heart, squat down, let your heels lift. Use your hands if you need to. We're going to bring our bum to the floor and float your legs. Maybe hold on to the backs of your thighs. You can just float your arms forward. Got sun from the window on my face. And then lengthen your legs out. Let yourself lower to hover your heels and your shoulder blades off the floor. And then lower all the way down. Take a breath there. And then draw your knees in towards your armpits. Reach your arms high over alongside your ears. And then as you exhale, curl yourself up, reach your hands towards your feet, and squeeze your knees into your upper arms. And then lengthen your arms up. We'll do that a few times. Really curl yourself forward, hug those knees into your upper arms, and you can resist arms into knees, knees into arms. And then lengthen. Let's do that one more time. Push. And lengthen. Okay, you can hold on to the backs of your thighs or the fronts of your shins. Just gonna rock forward and back. And see if you can find and just end in a little bit of balance on your bum. The next time you come up to balance, just cross your ankles in front of you and rock forward and come to your hands and knees. Lean your hips back towards your heels and flex through your wrists. So lift your straight fingers up off the floor. Try to keep your elbows straight and just feel that engagement through the fronts of your arms. And then rock forward back into your table and lift just your palms. So your four fingers stay on the floor. And then ground, hips towards heels, arms straight. Lift your straight hands up off the floor. And just go back and forth there. Just playing with that load in your hands, stretching through your fingers. Let's do that one more time. And then ground down through your hands. Find your shoulders right over your wrists. And then we'll play with some internal, external rotation of our upper arms. It's funny, the sun's coming right in through that window. So externally rotate your upper arms. You'll turn your elbow creases forward and then internally rotate. So your elbow creases are facing each other or maybe even pointing towards your thighs. So you're just kind of corkscrewing your humerus bone in your shoulder socket, and just do that a few times. Now, just notice what's happening in your body and what position of your upper arms feels most stable and supportive, where you really feel that integration of your shoulder into your socket and into your back body. And then just to hold that with your external rotation of your arms. So elbow creases pointing toward the front. Now draw your low front ribs in. Tuck your toes, and then just hover your knees up off the floor. And just breathe there with that hover. Just notice the strength that it takes to hold yourself there. And then go ahead and lower down. And we'll do that again. Find that external rotation of your upper arms. Float your knees up off the floor. And then lower down. Step your right foot back and tuck your toes. And so you've got this long line from your right back body. Tuck those toes. Push into your hands. Find that external rotation of your upper arm bones and float your left knee up off the floor. And then lower down. And we'll do that 3 or 4 times. Just floating your left knee. And then switch, right knee to the floor. Lengthen through that left leg. Externally rotate through your upper arm bones. Push into those left toes. Hover your right knee up off the floor. And then you can bring it down. Do that 2 or 3 times. And then step back into a plank. Hold here. Now bring your right forearm to the floor, and then your left forearm to the floor. And then your right hand to the floor, and your left hand to the floor. Left forearm, right forearm, left hand, right hand. One more time. And bring your knees down if you need to. Right hand, left hand, left forearm, right forearm, left hand, right hand. And then lift your hips up and back for a downward facing dog. And remember that stability in your shoulders. So find that external rotation of your upper arms as you push into your hands and lengthen through your sitting bones. And then walk your hands back towards your feet. You can bend your knees. And then step your feet as wide as your mat or your imaginary mat. Turn your toes out and then sit down into a squat. So you just sit down as low as you can go with your heels still on the floor. If your heels want to lift, you can always grab a blanket or you can roll up your mat and bring your heels onto your rolled up mat. Lengthen through your spine. And then just wiggle your left armpit around that left knee. And reach your arm out. And then twist yourself open to the right. And then we'll switch. Right armpit and twist yourself open to the left. Wherever you are, right? And be here. Lengthen your legs, find a standing forward fold. And then one handprint at a time, just walk yourself back into your plank. And pause there, feel your strength. And then walk your feet in towards your hands. Find a standing forward fold at the top of your mat. And inhale to bring yourself all the way to standing and reach high. Exhale your hands to your heart and sit back into your chair. Now look down at your toes and just let yourself be able to see your toes. So bring your knees back enough that you can see your toes. And bring your weight into your heels. We'll twist to the right. So you can bring your left hand outside your right knee and your right hand to your sacrum and just find an open twist here. Or you can take your left elbow outside of your right knee. Bring your hands together, lengthen through the crown of your head and twist to your right. Try to keep your knees in the same plane. Your right knee might want to kind of hike back. So think about squaring those knees off. And now look down at your right foot. Ground through your right heel and float your left heel up off the floor. Float your left heel towards your bum and then step back into a high lunge. So your left toes come to the floor and you've got your twist still. So either hand to knee and hand to sacrum or hands in a prayer. And then from here, unwind yourself and ground through your left heel. And we'll come into a warrior two. So your right knee is bent. And just open your arms wide. And take a breath here. Look over those front fingertips. And then cartwheel your hands down to frame that right foot. Lift your back heel and just step back into a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up and back. And then bring your knee toward your nose and kind of rock into a plank. And then right leg back And then bring your knee over toward your left armpit as you rock toward a plank. And then lengthen. And then right knee toward your your right armpit. And then lengthen. And lower. Inhale onto your tippy toes. And then bend into your knees. Take a walk to the top of your mat. Inhale to find a halfway lift and just engage through the backs of your legs. Exhale and fold. And then inhale all the way up to standing. Reach high. Bring your hands to your heart and sit into your chair. Weights in your heels and your feet are parallel with each other. So if you can imagine, you've got a line from the base of your second toe to the center of your heel, and those lines are parallel. And you can see your toes. Bring your right hand outside your left knee and your left hand to your sacrum. Or right elbow outside your left knee. And twist. Lengthen from your tailbone out through the crown of your head. And then you'll move from your center. So think of this happening right from your core. Look down at your left foot. Ground through that left heel. Get light on your right heel. And then maybe float your right heel toward your bum. And then step it back into a high lunge. So you're in this twisted high lunge. And take a breath. And then release your arms in your twist. Open yourself up to a warrior two. So ground through your back heel, that right heel, and open up. And take a breath. And then cartwheel your hands to frame that left foot. Step back into your downward facing dog. And then inhale your left leg up and back. As you exhale, bring your knee in toward your chest and then maybe toward your nose. You rock toward a plank and then lift it up and back. Left knee to left armpit. And then lift up and back. And then left knee to right armpit. Lift up and back. And then bring your foot down. Step your feet as wide as your mat. Walk your hands back towards your feet. And again, we'll come into our low squat. And we're just gonna play a little bit here. So you can bring your hands to the floor in front of you, and don't worry about your heels being all the way down this time. Lean some weight into your hands and just find a little hop. Lean some weight into your hands and find a little hop. Make your way to the top of your mat, and then we'll go backwards. Now, as you're lifting your hips, I want you to think of this happening from your belly. So as you push into your hands and lift your hips, you're gonna push yourself back. And just feel that lift coming from the center of your belly. Maybe go forward, then back. One more time. And then if you feel adventurous, you can play with an arm balance. You'll plant your hands shoulder distance apart in front of you. And find your knees and your upper arms or even up towards your armpits. Try to really get as small as you can. And then just rock forward and you'll bend your elbows. And just see if you can play with some weight there of your knees onto your arms. And you can just rock forward and back there. And you can even play with the width of your feet. You might want to bring your feet closer together and your knees wide and play with rocking there. And then as you come forward, sometimes it's nice to grab a couch pillow or something to put in front of you if you want to play with it. Just play with bringing one foot up off the floor, and then maybe the other foot. And remember when we were on our backs, you found that energy of really pulling your upper arms into your knees and your knees into your upper arms. Find all of that. And it's happening from your belly. So everything's pulling to the center. And then maybe float both feet up off the floor. It's just a fun game, and then release. Bring your bum to the floor. Let your feet kind of come out in front of you. And rock your knees from side to side. Just prop yourself up on your hands. And then we'll make our way to the center of your space and come down on your back. With all of that hip flexion that we've done, it'll feel good to do a bridge pose. So wiggle your shoulder blades together. Your feet are hip distance apart. So you could even reach with your fingertips to feel that your feet are hip distance apart. They're not closer. And try to have them parallel. It's hard because you can't see. So often we need to kind of bring our toes in. Draw your shoulder blades together, push into your heels, and just lift your hips up off the floor. And just find some length in your front body. It can feel nice to really grab onto the edges of your mat, wiggle your shoulder blades toward each other, rotate your triceps toward the floor, and really resist the floor with your triceps. And then try to think of your knees tracking hip distance apart. So don't let your knees splay out. Feel equal weight in the big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, and center of your heel and both of your feet. Take one more breath, and then just let yourself come down. Take your feet as wide as your mat, and just let your knees knock together. Take a breath there. You can release your hands. And we'll come for one more round of bridge pose. So bring your feet back to hip distance apart. And we're thinking of like ankles under knees when you come up. So they're not super close to your bum, but they're not far away either. Wiggle your shoulder blades toward each other. Push your triceps into the floor, and then push into your heels to lift. You can grab the outer edges of your mat, or you could bring your hands underneath you and interlace your fingers. Rotate those triceps toward the floor, and just keep your gaze straight up at the ceiling. Root down through your triceps, and lengthen your tailbone the same direction as your knees. Find some space underneath your neck. Draw your shoulder blades together. And then relax your front low ribs down. And take another breath there. And then release your hands. Make your way down to the floor. And take your right knee and just cross it over your left thigh. Flex through that right foot. And then you can float your left foot up off the floor. Maybe reach your hands to grab behind your left thigh. You can use some resistance of your right elbow into your right thigh, if that feels okay in your lower back. You might rock a little from side to side and just find something interesting in your right hip. And then ground your left foot, just release your hands, and take your right hand to your outer right foot and find a half happy baby pose. Sorry, my lighting is so crazy. The sunrise, different time, is sending the light just straight in through our living room window. Hope you can see me okay. So you're just pulling this right knee outside of your right rib cage, and you can resist your right hand into your right foot and your right foot into your hand. And ground the back of your pelvis on the floor. And then we'll lengthen through this right foot. So if you have your strap, this is where it will come in handy. Just loop this strap around your foot. And hold on to your strap so that your arms can be straight. And then you can just kind of relax the weight of your arms into your shoulder sockets. If you can keep the natural curves of your spine, so feel the back of your head, your rib cage, and your pelvis on the floor, but there's space underneath your lower back. If you can maintain the space under your lower back as you straighten your left leg on the floor, then go for it. You can straighten that left leg on the floor. If you notice that that really pushes your lower back down and lifts your tailbone above the floor, then just keep your left knee bent. Let your arms be heavy and just let this be a nice stretch through the back of that right leg. If you don't have a strap, you can hold on to your leg anywhere that's available. And then just play with externally rotating and internally rotating your leg right from the hip joint. So you're going to turn your toes to the right and then turn them in toward the left. Just like kind of we did with our arms in our table. Do that with your hip. Just really getting control of that articulation of internal and external rotation. And then find your external rotation. So just your toes are slightly to the right. Bring both of your straps into your right hand. Ground your left hip, and then you can open your right leg out to the right. Just stretch through that right leg. Keep your left hip grounded. So you're not rocking to the right. And if you're really feeling this in your inner knee, bend through your knee. And then come back up. You can release your strap. Bend your right knee. If your left leg's not lengthened now, you can lengthen it. Use your left hand to draw your right knee over to your right. And then you can right knee to your left, look to your right. Try to keep your right shoulder grounded, so you don't need to worry about bringing this right knee to the floor. And then unwind yourself. And we'll switch sides, so you can find that figure 4 on the other side. I'm going to roll around so the sun's not in my eyes. So left ankle crosses over that right thigh. You can stay there. You can float your foot off the floor, maybe hold on to the back of your thigh. You can rock a little bit from side to side. And then release your hands, bring that right foot to the floor. Take your left hand and grab your outer left foot. And it's like your foot's stomping on the ceiling, and you've got a bend in that knee, and you're drawing that knee towards your outer rib cage, any amount. Okay. And it may be totally different on this side than the first side. See if you can relax your front low ribs down, but still have space underneath your lower back. And then from here, if you've got it, wrap your strap around your foot and lengthen that leg up toward the ceiling. Straight arms, just grab up your strap as far as you can and let your arms just kind of hang heavy. Feel the back of your head, the back of your rib cage, and the back of your pelvis on the floor. You've got space underneath your neck and your lower back. And if you can maintain those and lengthen your right leg on the floor, you can lengthen that right leg on the floor. If that pushes your lower back into the floor and lifts your tailbone, then keep that right knee bent. We're just really wanting to work with the integrity of how our body fits together today. So keep those beautiful curves in your spine. And play with that external and internal rotation of that leg. So you're just kind of corkscrewing right from your hip joint, turning your toes to the left and turning your toes to the right. So you're not moving at your ankle, you're moving right where your femur bone enters your pelvis. Back and forth there. Keep that external rotation, bring both straps into your left hand, ground through your right hip, and then open your left leg out to the left. Drop your low ribs down and ground through your right hip so you're not rocking. Just let yourself get a stretch through that inner line of your leg. And bend your knee if you're feeling it on your inner knee. And then come back to center, release your strap, bend your knee, lengthen through your right leg. Use your right hand to bring that left knee over to your right. You can look to your left, you ground through that left shoulder. And then come back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. You can rock a little from side to side. Maybe use your hands to steer your knees in circles, one way and then the other. And then take up as much space as you can on your mat. Lengthen your legs out. Let your feet be mat distance apart. Let your arms kind of splay. And actually bring your hands together and just rub your palms till they get warm. And then bring your warm palms to your eyes. And just ground through your eyes. Close out all the light and just feel that weight in your eyes. Bring your fingers into your hairline. You can give yourself a little massage in your scalp. Lift your hands up off your eyes. Maybe do some circles on your forehead and then your temples. Rub down the sides of your jaw. And you can push your ears closed. And then rake your fingers down the sides of your throat. Just kind of draining out all the lymph nodes there and raking that down. And then pull down on your earlobes. And then just kind of use your thumbs and your fingers to pull along the whole edge of your ears. Just pull them out, kind of massage. You have a whole bunch of acupressure points all along your ears, so it can feel good through your whole body just to pull and massage on your ears. And then bring your hands, your fingers to the back of your neck. You can knead out the back of your neck in a way that is really friendly and nurturing and kind and loving for your body. And then release your arms along your sides and just let yourself relax. Let your body breathe itself. And completely let go of effort. And enjoy this place of security that is your body. It's a teacher and a refuge. Often we may see it as a burden or even an enemy, but it is a gift. Whether it's healthy or whether it's sick, whether we're feeling pain, it is good. yourself just feel that. And when you're ready, you can find some wiggling in your fingers and toes, or just stay here for a long time if you have time. And then bend your knees. You can roll to one side, and then use your arm strength to push yourself up. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. And find an inner smile and a sense of gratitude. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day, friends. Namaste. Sorry about my sound and stuff today. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully it was fun. Did anyone get into their arm balance?
I hopped a little, but did not get up on there.
It's a fun adventure.
But I love the way you walked into it and just gently kind of moved us to the point that we could try it. And that was just very gentle, and I appreciated that. So thank you.
Thanks. Well, have a good day, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.